Hi again, this is Christy LaVine from Christy Cooks for Life. Today we're going to make another recipe from the Yes You Can Eat That cookbook. And today we're making stuffed peppers. I have a hot pan here and we're gonna do a couple turns of olive oil, just one or two, like maybe a tablespoon, because we're gonna brown this ground beef, which is organic ground beef from Kirkland. I really like this brand. And I'm gonna get that in the pan and get it to start browning. All right, so as we get that going, we're gonna add in some onion and garlic, which I have chopped up here already. So we have 1 medium onion and 1 clove of garlic. And you know, I know I don't really show you every step of the way when I'm making these videos, but I just think it expedites our experience together. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in. And we're just gonna let that brown for a little bit. Get those onions to cook down, become a little tender and translucent. Doesn't take very long at all. And what I love about this ground beef is it has enough fat in it that it doesn't get dry, but it doesn't have so much fat in it that it's just swimming in grease. Pan's quieting down a little bit now that the beef is starting to cook up. And now that we got that going a little bit, we're gonna add our seasoning. We don't wanna do that when the pan is super hot because it just burns all the seasoning. I'm actually gonna leave my cutting board out here. What we have in here is a tablespoon of onion powder, and then a tablespoon of oregano, a tablespoon of ground black pepper. And I'm just gonna sprinkle that around and let the meat get seasoned while it's cooking. While we're doing that, I want to talk to you about this product that I love. This is Trader Joe's organic brown rice. It's microwavable and it comes in these little pouches. Literally you throw it in the microwave for 3 minutes and you have amazing brown rice. It doesn't stick. You don't have to worry about if you have enough water to rice ratio. Super simple, great to have available for recipes. So I'm going to throw this in for 3 minutes. And you know, you can do that while the ground beef is cooking. What I did was I took a green and a red pepper. I know the recipe calls for, I think, red, green, and orange peppers, but this is what they had at the store, and so they were super big. So I just cut them into fours, cleaned them and cut them into fourths, and put them in this 9x13 pan. I really like this foil that Reynolds Wrap has. It's no stick foil, so you can just put that in your pan and you can just lift them out. It'll be super easy. So that's over there ready to go. Our ground beef is almost done. It cooks so fast. Just want to make sure that you get it, you know, pretty well cooked through, not too much red in there. It's going to cook more in the oven, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And honestly, I don't think I'm going to have to even drain any grease. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like no grease in the pan. So that's super awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and just let that sit there for a sec. The recipe then calls for a can of diced tomatoes, and I always like to get either the petite diced or the regular diced and the ones that say no salt. So again, we're eliminating as much sodium as possible. We're gonna go ahead and pour that in here. Let that start cooking up with the big old stem in there. We don't want to eat that, yuck. And the other nice thing about throwing the tomatoes in after the ground beef is brown, it deglazes the pan and it gets all those flavors off the bottom. All right, and then we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And again, when you're cooking like this, your measurements don't have to be perfect. I mean, you don't want to get carried away, but you don't have to be super specific like when you're baking, so that's always a nice bonus. Helps keep things moving along. This is another one of those great meals that you could make into a skillet meal. Like if you didn't have time for these to bake, because they're gonna bake about 45 to 60 minutes, but if you have time for that, you can literally throw all this in the skillet, chop up the green peppers so they're in the meat, add the rice, and you have a nice skillet. I think one of these days I'm gonna make a cookbook that's just all skillets because they're super fast, under 30-minute meals that you can have ready any night for dinner, and they are filling and they're still healthy. And there's our beeper. Our rice is done. Ooh, that's a little hot. It comes in the pouch just like poofs up. The rice is perfect in there. There's like nothing you have to do to it. We're gonna go ahead and stir this around. And we are gonna add this rice right into the pan. It's like I said, you have like all a meal in one. So we're gonna stir that in there. It's about 1.5 cups when you use the whole package. And as you can see, it's making a nice filling in there. Just like you would for regular stuffed peppers. For the filling, I have a 1/4 cup measuring cup. I'm gonna use that because it's gonna give me a little more control. And we are going to bring this over here and then we're just gonna fill these peppers up. We're gonna take a 1/4 cup and we're gonna see how that goes. It might take about 1/2 cup because we want them to be nice and full. So just fill those up and it's okay if it overflows a little bit. I'm gonna fill the big ones first. Oops, see it overflowed into the other one, but that's okay. About 1/2 cup per pepper. Now, the red peppers are a little bit smaller, so they might not take a whole 1/2 cup. Like I said, if they're overflowing, it doesn't matter. We can scoop that up and just put it on the plate. I try to be as real as I can on these videos. I mean, you know, I could stop and clean it all up and make it all pretty, but let's be honest, this is how we all cook, right? We just kind of put it in there, not trying to be fancy. Maybe if I was having company, I'd be a little fancier, but not usually. I'm not that kind of person. I'm pretty real. A little bit left over, which, you know, will be good for a nice lunch the next day. All right, that being left over, I mean, if you want to get more peppers and make 2 pans, you certainly could do that. It's just Chris and I, it's just the 2 of us, so we don't need a ton of peppers. I suppose you could freeze them. I've never tried to freeze them. You know, we could try that and see how that works. So I'm going to take this cheese, which is 1/2 cup of mozzarella and 1/2 cup of Colby Jack. We're just going to sprinkle that over the top. And again, you know, I know some people shy away from cheese, but these are a couple of the, I should say, types of cheese that aren't that high in sodium. And everything else in the recipe is really low in sodium. Adding a little bit of cheese for flavor is not going to hurt anything. I think each of these have about 200 milligrams of sodium in each one, which is really not a whole lot. So that's all ready to go in the oven. We're going to put it in the oven at 350 for 45 to 60 minutes. And when it comes out, it'll be all gooey and melted and the peppers will be soft and really delicious. Thank you again for joining me. I'm Christy LaVine from Christy Cooks for Life. Remember to make every meal a heart-healthy meal. Thanks and have a great day.